Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and let me tell you, things are going to feel a whole lot better right now because we're diving into a conversation which doesn't happen enough, and it's something that we need to shed light on, all right? So social media has changed the way we go about our lives. If you don't realize that, then what world are you actually living in? Because it's crazy right now, and altering the way we interact with each other and reshaping societies. Now, the digital age can be both a valuable age and also a harmful one, and it's an era where we are exposed to numerous online content pieces every single day, every minute, every second. So many of us have let up our guard to protect ourselves from those outside world and the external influences, but a few have chosen to remain true to their identities by sharing their vulnerable side. Now, is this something acceptable? Is it acceptable to be vulnerable in a digital age, or do we need to maintain appearances? So let's leave that to our BIC Solil Choose Soft panel to discuss the following, right? So we've got our panel today. We've got Good Hope FM presenter Carissa Cupido. We've got content creator and media personality Kelly Kicks. We've got life coach Kirsty Malmed and Yasmin Gaby from the Psychedelic Association of Southern Africa. Absolutely loving this panel. Now, the question we're talking about is, what would you say humanity has done in the following era, the digital age? Ladies, firstly, thank you for coming through. Thank you for potentially, and thank you for potentially being truthful right now in a space which demands perfection. It demands everything that I believe we are not as human beings. What's changing in this world we're living in right now? What have you noticed from your side? Is humanity changing in this digital age? What's your perspective on that?
I mean, sure, I'll go for it. Yeah, I would say 100%. It's changed the way we relate to one another, right? I think before there was distance, both physical and there wasn't even an online space. And now the world is being brought so much closer to one another, which is a great thing because humans are social beings, right? But of course, boundaries are important. So when you're online constantly consuming in a way that I don't believe humans are meant to, good and bad, it kind of works on your mental health. And also, like you said, it kind of puts that pressure on you to put up pretenses that you may not have had prior. So it comes with a whole set of rule books that none of us actually have. A blueprint does not exist, and we're all kind of figuring it out as we're going.
Yeah, Yasmin, have you noticed that from maybe from your side, experiencing and dealing with certain individuals, are you seeing a change from people? Are you seeing a mental shift in their psychology as well?
Now, I think it's a balance of both, right? People have always been preoccupied with themselves in a different way. The camera's been around forever. But now that the exposure, like your kids, before people were geographically based, they only, you saw the same colors, same everything. Now we're exposed to so much more. So that kind of exposes us to, like, who sort of manages that information and how do you put yourself out there? So with the mental health, it just speaks to, I think, more than vulnerability, authenticity. Now, just keep the word authentic when you talk about vulnerable. And then we can sort of deep dive into that conversation.
100%, and that's what I would love to celebrate, but easier said than done, especially when it comes to authenticity, right? Especially this space that we're playing in. Kelly, you've experienced this. I was reading a very powerful, inspiring a post that you've just recently shared about an injury. What does it feel for you from your side when it comes to being vulnerable in the digital age? Are you finding that there's this pressure to act a certain way, look a certain way, be a certain way, or are you finding there's this opportunity to now be real? How are you experiencing this?
I think for every influencer content creator, it's a little bit different. It's all how they grew up on social media as well, and their experience on social media. So for myself, I've always been truly myself on social media. For others, it might be different where they feel like they need to put up this persona and act to this persona that everyone knows and loves. But being vulnerable for me, it comes naturally on social media where there's a few things that I put on social media, and then there's things where I'm like, okay, this is personal, this is something that I need to experience on my own and deal with myself personally. But there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, but you need to also have that strength and that power to be able to get whatever feedback is going to come back from social media, bad or good, because that's going to play on your mental health as well.
And naturally so, the world has polarities. So with the community of warmth, you're going to get the polarity of that and understand how to sift through all of this chaos, right? Because have you maybe experienced from your end people suffering with being real and facing the backlash of that? Have you experienced people showing vulnerability and actually being attacked for that? Have you?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a whole term for that, cancel culture. You say one thing wrong and people will jump on it, but often, okay, sometimes things are wrong and you need to self-reflect and look at that. And also sometimes there is a bigger context and things can be taken out of context and misconstrued, and we're so careful. And And like being authentic, being vulnerable is different from, what's the word? From basically sharing everything.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Disclosure, that's the word I'm looking for.
Nice.
Disclosure is different to being vulnerable, being authentic. And so you've got to be very careful, like you said, otherwise there can be backlash.
So how do we do this correctly? How do we steer away from getting caught in the trap and being unapologetically ourselves in the most beautiful way? How do we realize our natural potential? You guys are in this space, you're doing it right now. How would we, or maybe we could merge it. We've got the actual people playing in the space. We've got the guidance here. How would we maybe formulate the correct way to navigate the space? What would you say?
I'd say it's a learning. To be honest, like I've low-key been cancelled online too, you know, and I've always chosen the approach of vulnerability from day one. And so it did come with even more pain because my heart was so open already. But it is a learning. It's like some things are meant to be shared, some things are not. And like I was saying before, there is no playbook. So we're kind of figuring it out as we're going. And I'm hoping that as we move through in the social media and digital age, more grace will be applied because cancel culture should be cancelled. You know, context is important. Grace is so important. We're all in this together. We're all figuring it out together. Nobody really knows what they're doing, essentially. So, yeah, I think authenticity is a great approach.
Absolutely
And
beautiful.
setting boundaries as well with your followers, whoever's following you, they have access to your life, but they don't rule your life.
Yes,
So setting those boundaries and also making it a correction instead of a cancel
That's it.
is what we need.
Absolutely love it. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I wish we could just talk about this all day because there's so much to dive into. But again, Mzansi, maybe a great reminder that, hey, don't forget, we are human beings. Just like the people you're commenting on, you are one of them. We are each other. We all have a heart. We all feel and we're all trying our best. Navigating a space where there are no rules, it's difficult. So have some compassion, have some empathy, and think about what would you do if you were in their shoes and how hard it is to manage all this chaos that we're living in. But for this conversation, I want to say thank you. And for you, join in on our Choose Soft conversation online and let us know if you think it's acceptable to be vulnerable in a digital age, a deeper question that we may be aware of. And we are back again next week with another insightful panel discussion, bringing in more experts just like this. Until then, choose soft with Big Solil, click 3 or click 3 sensitive, enriched with aloe vera for the silkiest results. Well done, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thanks.